Behold, my friends, Optimus Zygarde. Wait, sorry, wrong universe. All jokes aside though, I'm not sure about you guys, but I personally think that Zygarde's new form looks totally badass, and while we don't know too much about it yet, what we do know has my hopes pretty high for this Pokemon's new form. Let me go ahead and read you the bio on this thing that was released in an issue of Korokoro. Zygarde's complete form is the result when Zygarde's core gathers 100% of its cells. When the ecosystem is under threat, and the core concludes that the 50% form is unable to deal with it, the core takes on the complete form. Its power is said to be greater than that of the legendary Pokemon Xerneas and Yveltal. Additionally, the complete form is confirmed to have the same typing as the 50% form in Dragon and Ground. Okay, so there are a few important things to take from this bio. The first thing to note is that complete Zygarde is most definitely going to be more powerful than the 50% form, which is pretty obvious. The question is, how much stronger is it going to be? Well, the last time something like this happened was with Kyurem, and it only got a base stat total boost of 40 points from 660 to 670, but if you ask me, Zygarde stats are going to be boosted a lot more than Kyurem's were when Black and White 2 were released. The reason I say this is that it's explicitly stated in the bio that Zygarde complete form has more power than Xerneas and Yveltal. The thing is, for one Pokemon to be more powerful than another is completely subjective. If I were to say that Salamence is better than Sunflora, then most of you would probably agree with me on that. But if I said something like Salamence is stronger than Dragonite, then things get a little bit more hazy. Because of this, really the only way to say that one Pokemon is objectively more powerful than another is by looking at base stat total, and while base stat total definitely isn't everything in Pokemon, it's one of the few objective methods that we have of comparing two Pokemon. So the point is that when Game Freak says Zygarde is stronger than both Xerneas and Yveltal, it probably means that it's going to have a higher base stat total than either of them. Looking at legendary trios from the past, back in 3rd generation, Groudon and Kyogre had base stat totals of 670, while Rayquaza had a base stat total of 680. In 4th gen, Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina all had base stat totals of 680. Finally, in 5th gen, Reshiram and Zekrom had base stat totals of 680, while Kyurem's alternate forms had BSTs of 700. So from this, I think it's safe to say that Zygarde will have a base stat total that is around 20 points higher than that of Xerneas and Yveltal, which means in all likelihood, complete form Zygarde's BST will be 700. Now, as for how these stats will be distributed, the first thing to note is that Zygarde's complete form combines all the aspects of its previous forms. For starters, we all know that Zygarde's 50% form has very high HP and defense, meaning Zygarde complete form will also have high HP and defense. Additionally, Zygarde's 10% form is said to have incredibly sharp fangs and incredible speed, capable of traveling over 60 miles per hour, which indicates that complete Zygarde is probably going to have high attack and speed stats as well. So in light of all this, I predict Zygarde's stat distribution to be something like this: a base HP of 120, a base physical attack of 150, a base physical defense of 130, a base special attack of 85, a base special defense of 105, and a base speed of 110. As you guys can see, the stats that stand out the most are HP, attack, defense, and an excellent base speed. And if Zygarde stats do end up being something like this, then mark my words, it's gonna be OP as hell. Also, one more interesting thing to note is that Zygarde's complete form has two appendages coming out of its shoulders that are colored red and blue at the bottom, the exact same colors that Xerneas and Yveltal have, which has led a lot of people to believe that Zygarde's complete form is somehow made by absorbing or merging Xerneas and Yveltal, sort of in the same way that Black and White Kyurem came about in Generation 5. Now, I personally think that this merging theory is unlikely simply because we already know exactly how Zygarde is formed from Korokoro's description, and it mentions nothing about Xerneas and Yveltal. What I think is more likely is that all three legendaries somehow originated from the same source, which is why they're similarly colored, or perhaps they were all even the same Pokemon at some point. Perhaps in the past there existed a Pokemon that was a combination of Xerneas, Yveltal, and Zygarde, but for whatever reason it split into three, yielding the three legendary Pokemon that we know today. Something like that would definitely make sense, since we already know that Zygarde is capable of splitting into multiple cell forms. Still a shot in the dark theory, but I definitely say that it's plausible. Well, alright folks, that is pretty much gonna do it for this video. As always, if you enjoyed, be sure to drop me a like down below and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more Pokemon videos in the future. Also, let me know what your thoughts are on Complete Form Zygarde in terms of its origin, in terms of its base stats and other things down in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope you all have an awesome rest of the day, and I will see you in my next video.